Hello and welcome to Federal Flash. I'm Philip Lovell and I'm joined by Nikki McKinney. The Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, dominates this week's Flash, with congressional Democrats continuing to express concerns with the implementation of the law and surprising remarks to state education officials by Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Nikki, what's the latest from Capitol Hill?
Well, this week, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus sent a scathing letter to Secretary DeVos criticizing her approval of state plans that violate ESSA. They urged her to review all state plans to ensure they comply with the law, including, quote, working with states to amend state plans the U.S. Department of Education has already approved, end quote. At issue are two important requirements within ESSA, often referred to as equity guardrails in the law. One provision requires states to factor the performance of subgroups within their accountability systems, and another requires three distinct categories of schools to be identified for support and improvement. If these issues sound familiar, that's because the letter echoes concerns raised by Patty Murray, ranking Democrat on the Senate Education Committee, over the past several months. The letter also further reinforces legal arguments made by the Alliance for Excellent Education in a memo prepared for the Education Department. Visit the link below to access All4Ed's memo. Let's turn to Philip for a deeper dive into the issues.
Thanks, Nikki. Under ESSA, states are not required to establish a rating system, such as an A to F or 5 stars, to differentiate schools. But if they do, the rating system must factor in the performance of various student subgroups into that system. In many of the state plans that the department has already approved, only the performance of the all students group is included. The practical effect of this is that schools receiving an A or 5 stars could have African American students not reading on grade level, or students with disabilities who are not proficient in math. As important is how states will identify schools for support. Congress established 3 categories of schools to receive support: comprehensive, targeted, and additional targeted. 2 of these categories, the targeted and additional targeted, are based on the performance of historically underserved students. Unfortunately, the department has approved plans that collapse those 2 categories into one category. As a result, fewer students will receive the support they need in order to graduate college and career ready.
In a speech to the National Association of State Boards of Education, Bobby Scott, the ranking Democrat on the House Education Committee, argued that state plans aren't compliant because states, quote, haven't been given adequate guidance from the Education Department, end quote. As you might assume, Secretary DeVos has a different point of view. In remarks before the Council of Chief State School Officers, she argued that state plans do, in fact, comply with ESSA's requirements, but where they fall short is in a lack of innovation. Here's the Secretary in her own words.
ESSA was enacted partially in response to the widespread calls from state school chiefs, including many in this room, to give you the flexibility and opportunity to address your state's unique challenges. Well, this law gives you that chance. The trouble is, I don't see much evidence that you've yet seized it, at least not in the ESSA plans I've thus far approved.
Noticeably absent from the Secretary's speech was any acknowledgement of the concerns that Democrats have raised about compliance with ESSA's equity guardrails.
That's all for now. For an alert when the next episode of Federal Flash is available, email us at alliance@all4ed.org. Thanks for watching.
Federal Flash is the Alliance for Excellent Education's video series on important developments in education policy in Washington, D.C. in 5 minutes or less.